Imagine a husband who cheats on his wife after having two kids with her, and then leaves the house after she confronts him, going to his mistress and romancing with her while his wife is still hurting from his betrayal. And then the wife decides to leave her children and mother in law with his mistress to make her suffer and to eventually make her husband come back to her. And now you don't have to imagine at all, because Bollywood spent 12 crore to make this crappy story turn into stunning visuals and super hit songs, and even earned 48 crore by selling it in the name of rom-com. We are here talking about BV number 1. But क्या Bollywood हमेशा से ऐसा था? Has it always considered a cheating story funny? Has it always used humorous music in the background while the husband is seen running from one woman to another? To know this, we kind of have to go back to 17 years before this movie was released, when Bollywood released Earth in 1982, which had the same concept of cheating husbands and hurt wives, but a much better exploration of emotions and a far better ending. So let's see कि 1982 का बॉलीवुड और 1999 का बॉलीवुड क्या सोचता है चीटिंग हस्बैंड्स एंड हर्ट वाइफ्स के कॉन्सेप्ट के बारे में. But before this, let me give you a small overview of what Earth held. Inder, the husband, is an ambitious director who lives with his wife Pooja in a flat provided by the company he's working for. Until one day, he loses his job and they have to empty the flat. And this whole thing makes Pooja really upset. But Inder soon buys her a flat of her own and then leaves for a work trip for 3 months. After coming back, he confesses to his wife about his infidelity when his mistress Kavita, who is also a successful actress, pressures him. And then he eventually leaves the house. But this Pooja doesn't play tricks and schemes to bring in the back. Nor does she try to demonize Kavita in front of him. She simply breaks down in the most human way possible and then slowly learns her own worth, leaving behind Inder and her past and embarks on a journey to find her true identity. So now we know the contrast both the stories held. But it's not just about the base of the storyline, but rather about the way it's portrayed. And that makes Earth better than BB number 1. First, let's see how the cheating was portrayed in both the cases. First comes BB number 1. Prem cheats on his wife. Now come on, laugh. Because remember, it's a rom-com. Except it shouldn't be. A story where a perfect wife gets cheated on and the cheating husband still gets to have a family of his own after making them go through shit because of his deeds shouldn't be simply considered funny. Here, Pooja is shown to be the perfect wife. She cooks and cleans and tends to her family members with all her heart. And yet her love and care couldn't stop her husband from insulting her in front of his mistress. This rich man, who had spent the first 7 minutes of the film praising his wife beyond limits, later spends half the movie trying to portray her as first the widow of his fake elder brother, and then a mentally ill person just to make his mistress stay. He legit flush all his wife's hard work and love away because he's suddenly in love with his mistress Rupali, who's also a beautiful model, and this new love makes him degrade his wife's cooking, makes him manipulate and lie to her, and also makes him forget that she is his life partner whom he once claimed to love. He leaves his wife Pooja hungry on Karwa Chauth by manipulating her about having a business meeting and then goes to Rupali to break her fast. And then when Pooja finally gets enlightened about his infidelity and confronts him, he simply says, Pooja, मैं मानता हूँ मुझसे गलती हुई है. Where's the apology? So he doesn't look guilty about his actions, right? But he does look like he's ready to slap Pooja when she asks कि अगर यही गलती मैंने की होती तो? And he also does look angry and triggered when Pooja indirectly calls him a cheater and tells him to leave the house if he's choosing his mistress over her. And of course he leaves the house because he later goes and rants to his friend about how can she throw him out of his own house when he clearly apologized for his mistake. I would also like to present you all his justification for cheating on his wife. He says, and I quote, पति हूँ उसका, दिन के 23 घंटे उसके साथ रहता हूँ, उसमें से अगर 1-2 घंटे किसी और के साथ हँस बोल क्या लिया, वही पकड़ के बैठ गई है. He was clearly not just husballing with her. There's also a scene where Prem sees the modeling pictures of Pooja which she shot after he left the house to get his attention. And she does get his attention in the form of insults. He yet again degrades her for clicking such pictures while being a wife, a bahu, and a mother. There's just one more thing. I would never understand men who cheat on their wives for modern and bold women but won't let their wives dress like them. The same type of dress up they were attracted to. Moving on. So now Prem is living with Rupali alone. But not for long, because Pooja refuses to choose self respect over a cheating husband. And hence, she sends her children and mother in law to make Rupali suffer and to eventually make her seem like a bad woman in front of Prem. And this whole thing is supposed to be funny, as again suggested by the humorous music in the background. She legit tells her children to not let their father and Rupali sleep together. Like, are you realizing that all this adult drama and schemes can be toxic and hella traumatizing for kids that age? Prem then slaps Rupali as per Pooja's plan, and Pooja there celebrates it like a victory. But did you notice how Prem raises his hand on both the women in the film for no valid reason? But he never gets slapped by any of them for all the manipulation, lying, and hurting he does to them. He somehow still remains the hero of the film, and he still gets his happy ending. Because Pooja, being a good wife, still accepts him after all the insults he throws at her. She still decides to trust him because, I don't know, I can't understand why she accepts him back. And you know what he says after coming back? He says, and I quote, अब मैं कहीं नहीं जाऊंगा, लेकिन अगर मैं गया तो तुम मुझे फिर से वापस ले आना. आई मीन ऑफ कोर्स मैंने खुद से तो कभी लॉयल रह ही नहीं सकते. उनको बार बार याद दिलवाना पड़ता है that they are committed. So this was how PV number 1 portrayed a man's betrayal, where everyone except the man paid for his mistakes. On the other hand, Earth showed Inder, who wasn't a good man himself, because he too cheated on his wife. But what he didn't do was be the hero of the film, or be the man who got the happy ending. No, he was shown as the man who was bearing the consequences of his actions. He cheated on his wife, and that wasn't showed as something funny. It was shown how it was supposed to be shown, hurtful and raw. There was no funny music playing in the background or a super glamorous song showing up to show Inder jumbling between his wife and mistress. Rather, there were songs that touched the depths of heart, showcasing pain that came from betrayal and heartbreak. Inder wasn't a man with honor. He could never be, for he betrayed Pooja and had an affair with Kavita, and that showed in the film. He was not the main character, Pooja was, and that made it better. Because main characters aren't supposed to be liars, manipulators, and complete shit who degrade their wives for mere pleasure. Nor are they supposed to be someone who lacks self respect and common sense to understand that it's their husband who is the problem and not the other women whom they are constantly calling a chudal and playing tricks against. Pooja was the main character because she was real and raw. It wasn't that she chose to leave in the right away. No, she did ask him to come back to her when he left the house. And she also called Kavita once to ask her to leave Inder for her. She was praying and praying for him to come back to her. But she had a reason. She was an orphan. And more than anything else, she was afraid of being left alone. She didn't want to lose Inder because he was her only person, her only family. And that made her ask Inder to come back to her. Unlike that Pooja, who refused to leave Prem even when her parents promised to support her fully. This Pooja didn't lack self respect, empathy, and kindness. The self respect showed in the way she gave back the house keys to Ender when he told her that it was bought because Kavita helped, and also in the way she simply signed the divorce papers when Ender asked her to, even though she was still wanting him to come back to her. She didn't beg again. She just simply and silently prayed to not be left alone. Secondly, The empathy showed in the way she refused to break someone else's heart. I'll explain. So after Inder left the house, Pooja and Inder's mutual friends told Pooja to come join them for a party so she can come out of this heartbreak a little. And this was also the time where she was still hoping for Inder to come back to her. And there in the party, she met Raj, a carefree and loving man who was struggling to become a successful singer. They met through several coincidences and eventually became friends. Raj helped Pooja find a job when she left the house given by Inder and went to live in the hostels. He made her smile and laugh with his silly jokes. He was simply beautiful. But when he confessed, Pooja made it very clear that she wasn't in the position to give him anything in that moment. She wasn't in the state to feel anything and was just trying to heal. See, she knew in that era that one must never lead anyone on. She knew her condition and saved Raj from the hurt her absence of emotions could have brought if they got together. One more thing she and the film didn't do was try to demonize Kavita. She was always respectful with her words and didn't call Kavita chudal or shit like. The movie understood that the other woman doesn't have to be the evil person every time. Because Kavita's character wasn't all about a woman who wants a rich man and hence got involved with him for money. No, she was a successful actress herself, and her character had this depth. She had certain mental problems which made her mentally weak. She used to have anxiety and hallucinations about Pooja crying near her because she took her husband. She was constantly in a fear of losing Ender while simultaneously bearing a guilt towards Pooja. Side note, you see how they never showed mental problems as a joke? Hmm? Learn. This was also the reason why Inder asked Pooja for divorce. It was to reassure Kavita that he isn't going anywhere. But when that didn't work, Kavita's mother and doctor went to Pooja to ask for her help. They pleaded her to meet Kavita once and reassure her herself. And she did help. She met Kavita, and there Kavita confessed how this guilt was eating her up, how she wants to be free from it, and also that she never intended to break Pooja's home. To which Pooja replied that it wasn't her home to begin with. And now comes the kindness that Pooja showed to her maid who used to work for her before she left the house. The maid's husband was also a cheater and an addict, but she had a daughter whom she wanted to get education from an English school, for which she saved some money after working for several houses. But when her husband stole the money she secured for her child's education, she fought with him and accidentally killed him, about which she later confessed to the police, and that made her daughter lose both her parents. But that's where Pooja stepped in. She took in the small girl and promised to provide her shelter and education. And that's how she got to live motherhood and also got another person of her own who won't betray her this time. And there, where Inder was planning to marry Kavita after Pooja's meeting with her, gets refused by Kavita because she couldn't live with this fear and guilt anymore. She tore all their wedding cards and broke her relationship with him. She told him that the marriage that couldn't give any security to Pooja even after 7 years, how could it ever give any security to her? After this, of course, Inder returned to Pooja to ask for a second chance. But now Pooja had her daughter, had her own new identity, and hence she refused to take him back. At the end, Pooja met Raj again, and when he asked for a chance, she explained how she was just starting to find herself, find her new worth, and her new identity, where she wasn't someone's wife, but just Pooja, who had a daughter to raise, a new life to build, and she feared that Raj's support might make her weak, and she didn't want that. Raj understood her emotions and with a smile let her go. And that's how the movie ended, with Pooja having a new identity, Kavita finding her peace, and Inder being left alone bearing the consequences of his actions. I won't say that Earth was perfect, but it progressed, and letting Pooja be without a man, ending it with just her, was one of the most beautiful things Earth did. Okay, that was it for the video, guys. Thank you for watching, and do let me know in the comments what you think about both the films. Until next time.